I still find it funny when I hear references to jQuery because I do vaguely remember like people were starting to say don't use jQuery even I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago even, and but now yeah it's weird seeing that again in 2023. But yeah, I think it's React. I honestly don't know. I haven't been able to keep up.
No, that's
I've
fair.
been focused more on the HTML and CSS side of things and really kind of trying to dial in some of that design stuff because that's the part where I tend to struggle. I'm so technical.
Mhm.
It's more of a struggle for me to focus on like, oh, okay, these colors look good together. Oh, this needs to be bigger. Oh, this
Yep.
needs to be smaller, whatever.
Yeah, anyone who's seen my website knows that I design is not my forte. I just have something that works, and then oh my god, I've not updated
Yes.
this site in so long. Jeez, I need to do that. Uh, yeah, I just have something that works, and then that's it. Like I've said this a bunch of times, but when you have the option of not having a programmer being the designer, that's always going to be a good thing. Like, there are
Absolutely.
some, I know there are some programmers out there who are great at design as well, but as a general rule, if someone is very specialized in programming, design work's not going to be good for them. So it's the same in the reverse. Like, someone who's like very specialized in design, maybe they have some level of programming experience, but
Hmm.
if you put them onto a really complex problem, you might get something like Yandere Simulator, where you have 10,000 if statements for something that could have been, a a very simple list.
Yes. And it's just yeah, it is very different. It is something where also at that point when I think back to business analyst and all that stuff, like you come back to the programmer is the one defining the requirements for the design,
Mhm.
and so you kind of don't have a separation of duties at that point anyway.
What do you mean by that?
So it's a separation of duties is like so in general if I just for example, so
Right.
if I work and I find requirements at work, it's a little weird for me to be the primary tester for those requirements
Mhm.
because I wrote the requirements. I can say whatever passes the test, right?
Right.
Ideally, somebody else is going to be the primary tester for that because they're going to be the ones that are actually going to be able to say, hey, this meets our business needs.
Right.
While I'm just the business analyst who is trying to help them get to that point.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's the value of third party QA. Right. I see.
Yeah, and so I think a developer and designer being the same person is similar thing. The developer can say, "Oh yeah, it looks exactly like I thought it should look."
Well, yeah, the problem with the developer being the designer is you also have the developer is very they're very knowledgeable about the project. So there's going to be design decisions they've made that make total sense to them. But the second that
Hmm.
someone else sees it, it makes it's absolute nonsense. Like, why is this button in this place? Why is there no button for this? Why is this button in this menu instead of this menu? All of these little things are things where if you're making a project yourself, you are gonna get used to them. You're gonna get used to the weirdness about your own design. And for something you're making
Yes.
just for your own use case, like my bookmark script, for example, I don't have bookmarks in my browser. I have bookmarks in a separate application, and they open up my browser and like open the tab in the browser. For
Hmm.
me, this project makes perfect sense, but there are some really stupid things I've added to the project that other people have been like, "Hey, can you fix this?" Like, if you want to fix it, like, you can submit a pull request if you want to, but as it stands, like, it does what I need it to do, and that's it. But when you are dealing with a customer, a client, whatever you want to call it, yeah, like actually having someone else there to at least sanity check what you're doing is going to be
Yes.
incredibly valuable.
Yes. And that's something that I unfortunately feel like the open source world misses at
Mm,
times.
mm,
And I hate it because there are times where like I'll find something and I just start trying to mess with it and I'm just like, I don't know that this is really workable for me. And if it's not workable for me, who I'm a very function over form person.
mhm.
And if it's not workable for me, like I don't know, I don't know. I think it's a tough sell. For a long time, Audacity has finally done something where they actually have the audio menu where I can actually see it properly. for a long time, their little audio drop-down boxes were screwed up, at least when you had this screen zoomed in.
Mm-hmm.
But they finally, I have no idea when they actually changed it. It's been somewhat recently, though.